good evening. Let's talk family. Tonight, we have darling Nikki's show. Tonight we have two special guests. We're expecting a third one, and here he is. We have Lamar, Silka, and Erica joining us tonight. Tonight's show, as my illustrious co-host has chosen, she chose to do this show on cancel culture, understanding cancel culture. Has cancel culture went too far? So thank everybody for joining us tonight as we discuss what is cancel culture. According to the Urban Dictionary, cancel culture is a modern form of ostracism in which someone entrusts out of social or professional circle, whether it be online or social media or in person. Those subject to this ostracism is says to have been canceled. The expression cancel culture has mostly negative connotations and is used in debates on free speech and censorship. So, darling Nikki, you decided
Hey,
you,
Quentin,
de-
what's going on?
you tell me you decided to do this show on this when we us five have this discussion about cancel culture. Lamar, welcome. Erica, welcome. Erica, you can unmute your
Hello, hello.
microphone. And Silka, welcome back to the show again.
Thank you.
And Nikki, you decided to discuss this interesting phenomenon that basically has started over the last, let's say, 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And with social media, it really like picked up steam where basically somebody says something or does something controversial and then the mob just piles on.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of get canceled. They may lose their job, lose their profession. Um, People don't support them. Definitely if it's an entertainer. So they get affected by something they may have said or done.
Right. Well, why wouldn't I choose the topic? Right now, it's hot. That's what's going on. With the recent incident with the coach for the Raiders, Dave Chappelle with the LGBT. I don't want to, I know it's a lot of letters behind it.
LGBTQ
Yeah,
plus.
TQ. But yeah, so why wouldn't I? It's something that I think a lot of people are just now hearing about it. Um but it has been going on for a while now with a lot of the celebrities. So I think that a lot of people are just catching on to what's going on. And so why not discuss it?
I have a question for Silka, Erica, and Lamar. Have you guys seen the Dave Chappelle special?
I have, yeah.
You have seen it?
I
Yeah, I
haven't, but I
seen
know
it.
what it is.
Erica, have
I
you
seen
seen
it. It
it?
was good.
No, I didn't see it. I'm not a big Dave Chappelle fan.
Okay. Um, so Nikki, take the lead. What do you think about? First of all, it really like popped up with his special that
Mm-hmm.
dropped on Netflix Friday, last Friday, and I think Monday. I don't know for sure if anybody in the chat is from the LGBT community. I believe Monday was National Coming Out Day. So I
Mm.
think that it was interesting that Netflix as well as Dave decided to drop it that day, and National Coming Out Day was I think one of the within the last week it was one of those days, um,
Right.
and I think that the special it got more buzz for what was alleged that he said than he really said. I don't really think I saw the special. I would like to get you guys' thoughts. I think he really wanted them for being part of cancel culture.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people thought that he was being transphobic in the special, and I disagreed with that. I mean, I think the story that he told about his transgender friend Daphne was kind of heartbreaking.
It
It was
was.
touching,
Right.
uh, and he basically put them on blast, like here's somebody from your community that embraced me, and we formed a relationship. And then when Daphne decided to kill herself, none of y'all probably doing anything for him but me.
Yeah, I
And
You
don't
know,
think.
importantly, she killed herself after being attacked on social media for standing
Mhm.
up for Dave Chappelle from his
Mhm.
previous special. And not to cut you off, Nikki, but I'm going
Go
to
ahead.
say so it's interesting because on social media I've seen people say, You can't tell me what to be offended by. I'm offended by his special and I refuse to watch it. But how are you offended by something that you've never seen? And I think that's a part of the problem. A lot of people have never even seen it. They've seen sound bites, they've seen headlines, but they didn't actually watch the special. And the
Right.
special was mainly about how white supremacy can be masked in many forms. And one of those forms is the LGBTQIA plus community. It's still white supremacy. I mean, in my opinion, the most patriarchal thing that a man can do is tell me that he's a woman and there's nothing that I can do or say about it. I think that's just ridiculous. But that's another, subject.
No, I think I want to hold that point, Silka, because I think you brought up something that I think that we want to address during the show.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely want to hold that thought because you brought up something. I think that Dave and I really want to hear from Lamar and Erica because you guys are guests on the platform and I want you to hear what you guys say. But I think what Dave really hit home with the special was talking about the hypocrisy even on the platforms that
Mm-hmm.
we're on now. For
Mm-hmm.
y'all that don't know, I do know a lot about YouTube and Facebook algorithms. I could say the N word openly, but I can't say the F word, the three-letter F word openly.
Mm-hmm.
I can get the platform taken down. I can lose the channel by saying the three-letter F word over repeatedly. YouTube and Facebook can actually take my channel down. But if I say the N word, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Dave speaking about that, he speaks to that hypocrisy that we have in America. And even Nikki brought up about the coach. The coach didn't resign when he said the racial insensitive comments. That was okay. But then when the rest of the emails came out and it was quote unquote some homophobic comments in there, that's when the powers that be said enough was enough, and he was basically forced to resign.
But isn't that because I mean the four-letter word that's across the board. But we say the N word as our own people, so that means now the algorithm has to track race. It has to do a lot to shut it down just for certain cultures.
How about the algorithm just doesn't monitor what we say at all? How about there's freedom of speech and we can say whatever we want to say,
Yeah, the
regardless?
FTC doesn't is really no such thing as freedom of speech once that gets involved.
It's like one of
It's limited.
it's like one of my friends. Lamar, you said something.
I didn't say anything yet. I was
It's
letting
like
you guys
it's like one of my
speak.
friends said is, um, yes, it is freedom of speech, but it's not. It's also freedom of consequences as well.
But it's not. It's no longer even freedom of speech. If you even look at people's Instagram pages being taken down, like Little Duval and Boosie and what's the Muslim brother, the tall, skinny one? I can't remember. But even Farrakhan's page, like there is no freedom of speech anymore. And the interesting thing is, we created cancel culture years ago with
Yeah.
racism, when
Erica
everything
just said that earlier. She
yeah,
said the same thing.
we created it, but we became the people that we hate. So the
Yeah.
same people who were monitoring, who were, trying to tear us down and the right wingers, the tea partiers, we became them.
Mm-hmm.
We created something. Now it's snowballed out of control, and now it's being used against us. So now there's no longer freedom of speech, and we're also programmed because we're like, okay, yeah, it's okay if they take Donald Trump's page down because we don't want him to spew his hatred. But it's bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if he spews his hatred? But we have to make sure that people are able to share information, regardless if we agree with
If
it or
you agree with it or not.
One of
not.
one of
Censorship
one of
is not good.
I
one
believe.
of the bills. It
I
was a bill
believe.
that was. Go ahead. Who's that?
Lamar, I think.
Lamar,
Oh,
go
me.
ahead.
Yeah. I believe that it's like cancel culture is like in the middle. So it's like it's positive and it's negative in so many words. It's positive like um when it's like a Black Lives Matter. Let's say if it's somebody white and they do something racist and they put them on blast and they find where they work at and they kind of get them fired and they kind of
It
give
gives people who
them, what
wouldn't
is it,
have
like a
a
street
voice a voice.
yeah, it get them kind of like the justice, street justice, and it kind of outs them for their races or white privilege. But then when you go to someone like maybe like a celebrity, like if you go like Kanye, when he wears a MAGA hat and you cancel him, it's like a trend. It's like it lasts for what 6 months, and then he drops an album and everybody forget about it. So it varies in certain ways, and it can destroy lives. But it also, like she said, it gives a light to the downtrodden at times.
Mm.
So I think it's a positive and a negative, depending if you're looking at it for the trend or if you're looking at it to just have some type of sort of
Accountability.
vigilante justice.
But I think at
Yeah,
some point it can go too far.
Yes,
Um,
when rewriting history. Yes,
yeah,
I
definitely.
agree.
I think it can go too far at some point. I don't
Yes,
even
when they
think.
changing the movies and all of that stuff and taking all those different cultures, they rewriting history now and they shouldn't do that. That's going one step a little too far.
One of the issues that during Trump's presidency is that when his platform did get taken down, I was one of the people. I was definitely one of the people that was against his platform getting taken down because a lot of people may not understand it. They have a bill where they're going after big tech, and even President Biden supports the bill where big tech is to the point where their donations and their sponsors are from special interest groups. When you allow censorship, and Silko speaks to this when dealing with that First Amendment, who are we? Because now we're playing a game of
Hmm.
politics, where we see here where it's a gender issue or
Hmm.
LGBTQ issue. Like, who is we to say that a person that issues are more important than the next person, sort of say.
Right.
So I think that we have went too far, and it's to the point now where most of us that do have certain jobs, if you do have a social media presence, you might have a different name on
You
social
have
media
to.
than your regular job, because people are looking at your social media pages if they want to hire you, and you have to, as they say, tap dance or dance a little different to move a little different.
Hmm.
Well, I mean, some things are a matter of national security, though. I mean, you getting these people and these supremacists getting together, and he's saying it's okay to start killing us in the streets. Then what are you going to do? Yeah, he has his voice, but people going to die behind him speaking. So some things there is a level of need for um to minimize free speech. I'm sorry, especially when it's a security issue.
Well, Erica, I kind of disagree with that, um, because you're right. And he should be, and anybody that is in power should be held accountable for what they say. And this is where that First
No, I'm
Amendment.
not talking
This
about accountability. I'm talking about when you get platforms around certain people, depending on who they are, you gather up these people and you start brainwashing them and saying things are okay, and they have that power to do that because they have this platform, and other people are in danger. That's when the free speech, okay, we need to kind of look at what's being said here if it's putting other people in danger. I don't disagree with free speech at all, but when it starts putting other people in danger or misspreading information, that could be a problem.
But who's to say what puts people in danger? Because when we're spewing all this hatred, when we're sharing all these videos of black bodies, when we're sharing all these videos of black people being harassed and we're canceling Karens for and getting them fired from their job, that's dangerous. That's dangerous mentally. That's dangerous about the way that other people view black people. So it's who's to determine what's dangerous and what's not. And I don't
When
think
somebody starts getting shot in the street, that's who
I'm
determines
I'm
based
gonna
on
give you
what's
guys
being said.
I'm gonna give you guys a scenario that just
Okay.
played out. Um, we all know who Sean King is. Sean King repeatedly, whenever a cop is alleged for hurting someone, Sean King will put their picture on his page, their badge, their address.
That's
Then
too
when
much.
Sean King and his wife bought that house in New Jersey, somebody showed up in a public space and he felt some type of way like his life was in danger.
Hmm.
So me myself, because he considers himself an activist, is that I believe that an activist gives up their public life. I mean, their private life becomes public, and he's known for doing this. Not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent. So now, when it happened to him, he felt as though, like I said, he was in danger. His family was in danger, but he
Well,
does the same thing because at the end of the day, if a cop is accused of doing something, they have a right to be brought to
There's a
court.
process. Yes.
It's a process, yes. So it's
But
like now we allow certain behavior to go on because it may be good for what we believe is right, but then we cancel it out for what we believe is wrong.
right, and that was something that someone was speaking about online. She was saying it's like you have this triangle. So you have this victim part of it, you have this hero part of it. It's like a threefold thing. So, when you want to play victim, then you want to be the hero. You have all these components of it. And at one point, do you start saying, okay, activist versus, because the whole goal they start saying, oh, well, you got to be careful when you start saying, okay, are you actually being an activist, or really just trying to push your agenda, or are you just trying to get your point across? It's a really fine line when they start speaking, oh, well, I'm an activist, because it's a fine line. And then I have a real big issue with being able to speak freely and openly. I mean, I like to say what I like to say. Just because I say something doesn't necessarily mean that I don't like one particular group of people. There are, and I think it's interesting too, that they're going against Dave Chappelle or the coach. But this is the people say stuff all the time. And it's funny because Eric and I were talking about it. Whether you're black, we say stuff behind closed doors. We say stuff out in the public, But these are things that we freely express. And we were talking, and I said, well, maybe for me, everything is about money. It's an agenda with this. I was thinking back to when they shut Nick Cannon down. What is the agenda? What is behind it? Because it's an agenda, and when we know everything is ran by money, it's money.
It is, and it's something we created that we, like Lamar said, to support, Black Lives Matter. But now it's being overtaken by Jews and the LGBTQ community. It's like we no longer have control over it. Although we think we do, we don't.
Well, they're
Mhm.
organized. That's the biggest
See,
thing, especially the LGBTQ. We don't get organized.
the thing is that
We're too easily distracted and too
Yes, I
is
agree
is
wholeheartedly.
when you look at this country, was formed by traders, traders to England, and it was formed by descent. And now we've gotten to a point, like Silka said, where we don't even allow the dissenting point of view or the dissenting argument to even have a voice. Where we just straight up, if you don't agree with us, if you don't agree with the mob type mentality, we're gonna cancel you out. And it's literally
Mhm.
to the point where if it wasn't for Dave Chappelle being who he was, a certain stature as a comedian, as a person, he probably no other comedian would have been able to say what he said, and we all know that.
He said that in the beginning when he started the show. He was like, I know I'm going to be gone for a minute, or I might not, whatever, whatever. But he said that in the beginning. And I just think, again, when it comes, it's really, if you really think about it, uh, and this is something that I've talked about too. It's like certain class of people, and I don't want to get into whatever, whatever. They're more protected than others, when it comes to and it's like what Erica said, going back to what she said, being organized, because the LGBT community, they support their own, they back their own. And
But like Dave Chappelle said, that's a community of white men.
yeah, that's true.
It's white male dominated. So it has nothing to do. Let's take the LGBTQ out of it. It's a group of white men.
Yep.
This country is ran by white men, but it's a way for them to mask themselves as the minority, to get other minority groups behind them to support them, and for them to be able to play the victim. So it's like, let's look at it as what it really is. It's a group of white men.
Well, they
Males.
organize white men, and at the end of the day, if we really looking at it, if we gonna go that hard, white men are on a dollar bill. What we gonna do about that? Nothing. Nobody's gonna do any. A lot of the bigger institutions, nobody. We need to cancel a lot of these bigger institutions, which is not gonna happen. We're going after these different people, like Silka said. A lot of it's distraction. And we need to start looking at things, but white men run the world. Honestly,
We seen that when Ed Buck was running around in L.A. Buying getting homeless black LGBTQ men and using all types of drugs and killing them and all types of stuff. But I think that Silka speaks to a point that a lot of people don't know. LGBTQ for white people is a little bit different than LGBTQ
Yes.
for black
Very much
people.
so.
Yes, sir.
I feel as though
We're all black, and we understand that um there's always been gay people in our families, in our community, who have never seen the ostracized or the victim stuff that most people try to glorify. I mean, even so far, going back to Marsha Johnson, and when they made the movie about the Stonewall riots, they even whitewashed her in the movie. Um, she was a black woman, a dark black woman. In the movie, they made it seem like it was a white woman. So I think that Silk speaking to that. It speaks about a secret society of how they have cloaked themselves in this community and basically used it to ostracize anybody that attacks or questions, because Dave didn't attack them. He attacked them for cancel culture. He didn't attack their lifestyle. And that's the thing that's interesting what you see on social
but
media is because so many people in
like he
that
said,
community said, go ahead, Lamar.
yeah,
Lamar.
but like he said, I mean, it's can you hear me? Everybody can hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
hear you.
Hello, can you hear me?
we can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah, like I said, it's pretty much a loophole. It was, I mean, because they use also the Civil Rights Act of 1964. They still in that same bill as blacks and other minorities. They pretty much disguise themselves as a minority to still get their point across, but still have the privilege that's backing it. So they can be like, oh, I'm LGBT today, and tomorrow they could be a white man or white woman and appalled by
Mm-hmm.
the things that that society holds them to. So I mean, it's a catch-22.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, for
different for
everyone
them.
else,
It's
I
very
mean,
and
different.
and
But
black
even
gay, they still
but
have
and
the
it's in all
homophobic.
the.
but let me
Go
ask
ahead.
you
I'm sorry.
guys, a question in reference to it. We canceled Chrisette Michelle because she wanted to perform at President Trump's
We spoke about
inauguration.
that too.
So
Mhm.
this is where were we wrong? Were we wrong? I mean, I don't believe in cancel culture. I wouldn't. I could care less if anybody else.
Have
I
an
happen to
opposing
be.
opinion.
I happen to be someone who looks at Dave Chappelle bigger than a comedian because of who his mother is, and I know Dave Chappelle's biggest purpose is as a truth teller, and he just uses it in a comedic way. So I don't believe in cancel culture. But back to the Chrisette Michelle, many people, I mean, people were dragging her on social media where a lot of times inaugurations, Super Bowls, or whatever, a lot of these artists, this is how they, um, as we say, get the bag. But we canceled her as a community. We canceled her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's
So
the thing I was going to touch on too. If you look at the cancellation of like DaBaby or Boosie
Yeah.
and their like Boosie's social media platform has been taken like time
Mm-hmm.
after time and after time again. This man has kids, lots of them, not one or two. He probably has about 6, 7, 8 kids.
Right.
And he makes his money through social media. Like that's how he feeds his family. That's how he survives. But we want to just remove their platforms. We want to cancel them just because they did something or said something we disagree with. Meek Mill's new album cover is naked black caricatures on the album club cover of women. There's a group of women who came out and wanted to cancel him because of that. So it's just like where does it stop? Where
Yeah.
does it
Are we doing it though? Are we doing it? Because it's just like with the baby. When it came down to the baby, he now some of the stuff that he said, it was, misinformed and whatever. And I think we can do certain things to our own selves too at some point.
I don't
Yeah.
Yeah,
even think it was misinformed. I think it was misunderstood because you have to
that's true
think
too.
there's slang, there is regional slang, there's in at the end of the day there's freedom of speech. But there historically men have used certain terms like a cocksucker, excuse my language, doesn't necessarily mean it's a gay person. That's just an insult to another person. Like,
no,
it
but
doesn't.
he said, and I think one of the things was he said something about, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know all the young people music, but it had something to do with HIV and gay people or something like that. And I
No, he
remember,
said if you don't have HIV, if you don't have HIV, put your lighters in the air, put your hands up, something like that.
right
So
now,
he would have said, if you don't have cancer, if you're cancer free, put your hands in the air. Basically, he's saying, I have my health. We all out here fucking. Black people have HIV just as a high rate as the LGBTQIA community does.
Black
I think
women.
what he said after that was what shut him down.
But that's a
About
typical club thing to say. I've heard
You
every
said
DJ.
now.
I've heard every DJ say that in the club like for years. So him saying it on that big platform was just like a way to attack him. Like I really.
And like Dave Chappelle said, he killed somebody. We was fine with that. He killed a nigga in Walmart. We cool with that. But don't this nigga say
let me ask you a question.
You have HIV, put your hand in the air.
Let me ask you guys a question, because someone has a question. Shay said, what's the age demographic of the cancel culture? I don't think it's an age demographic.
Oh, it is. It is. And I'm gonna tell you, I was just looking it up. They said the majority of the cancel culture, they're millennials. They're the ones they're the ones that enforce it.
Millennials is my age. You talking about
but they're saying that these are the ones that are enforcing the cancel culture. Mm-hmm.
I could see that. Nobody's exempt to it though. No one's exempt. People of all ages can fall victim to it.
Right.
But
what I'm going to ask you guys a question, because we are quote unquote in the age of technology and information. A lot of times people are getting canceled, or people are calling for them to get canceled. And I think it's ironic that Black people would ever want to ostracize people. Definitely people that come from the lineage of slaves. But anyway, a lot of times people are getting called to be ostracized, and they never even heard or read the whole statement. That's weird to me. Like, you could easily Google or look it up or whatever word finder you use to find exactly what someone said, and it'd be like, oh, that's all they said. Because even with the word Silka used the C word, or if we use the 3-letter F word, you can't tell me that a bunch of guys who play football, or we have a thing with testing each other's masculinity, that if you don't think a man is masculine as you are, you may be like, you ain't nothing but an F, but you know that he's not from that community.
Right.
And that goes back to brainwashing. Sorry, my dog. That goes back to brainwashing and programming. We're being programmed to be outraged and to look for reasons to be outraged. We're being programmed that way. So it's like, what do you want? Do you want freedom of speech, and where your feelings may be hurt because people may say things that you disagree with, i.e. Trump? Or do you want to be programmed and you don't even know you're being programmed? Your responses to things are programmed and you don't even realize it.
So what they were saying, Silka, was that the millennials, who are this cancel culture, they were saying that they have this level of anger. They have this way that they feel. So this is the generation that's coming in, and they're protesting it, and it's a good thing, and they're standing up for things. But at the same time, when does it get taken? So, because they're sensitive. I mean, everything you say, not millennials per se, but the younger generation, a lot of people are sensitive now. You can't say anything
that way. We've always had rage.
Come on, y'all.
Always been outraged about things. If you look at the Panthers, if you look at the civil rights movement, we rightfully so. We're in fucked up situations, so we want to let it.
Can we say the F word?
You can't. Don't say it too much. You can't say the 3-letter F word.
I won't say that.
And I'm being honest, it will literally get a strike.
Yeah,
I'll tell you guys.
Wow.
I have no problem with being transparent. I'd get a strike. I'd get an email from
Google
and say that some words were saying it was offensive, and that's even including if I put the thing on the video saying that this video is not for children. So you still cannot say certain words. And even though that we have made that N-word a term of endearment for some people to use it, it
So
still
they've
doesn't
made
allow us to have the leeway to say those other words.
To
they've
respond to
made
the host, I'm sorry about that, but to respond to what the host was saying, y'all telling me that I think the question was that he asked, people just take it for what it is. Yeah, gossip. Before social media, it was gossip. People didn't read it or find out what exactly happened. It's always been gossip. People are just doing the same thing and getting on the bandwagon. I don't think it has anything to do with the millennial. I mean, some of it does, but gossip has been around since the dawn of time. People don't actually figure out what's happening. They just get on the bandwagon. This is what's being said. So I think y'all are blowing that out of proportion a little
No, I
bit.
think
Gossip's
that
been
when it
around for a
comes
long
to the
time.
cancel culture, how strong they feel about certain things, it's like when it comes to some things, this is my personal opinion. When it comes to some things, some people are so sensitive, and I don't know if it's just if it's the social media.
Black
And like
people are. We are.
you said,
We
black
super
people.
sensitive. Yes, we are super sensitive.
rightfully so. And I just think we have a platform to express it now. We found it. We found a little bit of power in canceling people, and now it's being used against us. We're literally we have been programmed to
Silka,
outrage.
Silka, I
Yeah.
must admit, you being a little too nice. You might as well just say that some black people are getting put in positions to suck and jive, to shoe
Cooning.
shuffle,
They're
and to
cooning.
throw other black people under the bus, to
Yeah.
run around here and be black. They want to remain black but be in white spaces.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a time and place for everything, and I believe
Yes.
that to a degree. Like you can't do and say everything. Like if you hold a certain position, um,
Did we have a cancel culture before social media?
Well, yes, it was called protest.
No,
That's
that's
history.
different. That's different.
That was McCarthyism, right?
We still the whole purpose was to hit the money where it is. Because that's all cancel culture does for temporarily. To hit you where it hurts.
I think cancel culture
And make us accept.
and boycotting is different. When we were boycotting, we were boycotting systems. We were boycotting the bus system in a city. We were boycotting organizations,
right.
politicians.
We were boycotting for acceptance. That's a whole different
I
show,
wouldn't even say
which I don't think we should have did. But go ahead.
Okay, wait a minute.
We were
So when it comes to
boycotting
cancel culture, though, and this is something that they were speaking about too when I was looking this stuff up. Are we canceling the behavior? Are we canceling the words? Because then that's a whole nother thing too. Are we canceling their actions? Are we canceling both? Because
they would
words
cancel the person,
or the
that's
whole
it.
person.
They would cancel the person. They don't
I
care.
believe it's only a death sentence if it's race or sexual conduct involved. Like other than that, I think you can come back from cancel culture.
Yeah,
Like
look at Chris
everything
Brown.
other
Only
than that is a
if
trend.
it's a black
Everything is a
person.
trend.
You said look at Chris Brown.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they canceled him for beating Rihanna for a minute.
Cancel him. That's the whole thing. I think if it's a black person that is doing something, we're going to cancel them depending on what it is, depending on when it is. They didn't even cancel Chris Brown really. Like they partially
I
did, but
mean,
black people still
They
listen
don't
to
really cancel anybody. J.K.
Nah,
and
because
then I
Rowling wrote
everybody's
don't.
books
still
for
listening to R.
triple.
Kelly. Everybody's still supporting Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
We don't completely
Nah.
cancel people.
But let me ask you guys a
I'm
question. In reference to Chris Brown, in reference to the baby, in reference to certain people, and really when you look at it, um, Dave Chappelle basically threw a lifeline to the baby, and there's been a couple other people that threw lifelines to the baby.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that our elders that are in position of power, that have a lot of influence, are not throwing lifelines? For example, when the thing with Chris Brown and Rihanna went down, I still to this day, and everybody always will say the Oprah interview. Do you think that Oprah and her ilk and those people who are elders, because they were kids when you really get down and think about it, and what he did was wrong? Do you think that those people should have threw them a lifeline and gave them like behind the scenes, like, look, y'all, you can't be doing this?
I think we do,
I
but
mean,
at the same time, do the kids, does the generation now listen? Like Silk and I were talking about that earlier. Like you can give them consultation. You can say, okay, maybe you shouldn't do this, or maybe you should do that, or but some people they don't want to be censored, So I think that we do. I think in the cases of what's the girl's name, that Shakari, and even like Lizzo. Like I think there are some people that will pull them. Hey, that's not prime example. Monique. A lot of people don't like Monique, but and a lot of people don't like her for whatever reason. But I think the elders come out and they say things like, "Hey, maybe you can do it this way, maybe it's that way," but they don't want to listen. They don't, it's a certain way you can do things. Even when they pulled him now, I'm kind of iffy on the baby thing because it was Miley Cyrus. But at the same time, she's like, oh, hey, come on, let's talk. I think it was Miley Cyrus or something like that. Now, he said what he said. He don't necessarily have to talk to her. But when it comes to somebody from our community, maybe they could have pulled him to the side and said something. I don't know. I think that we try to, but everybody doesn't listen.
I think that normally, like, people don't bail you out. Like, even when you go to the Oprah situation, like, she goes with the masses. Like, look at the whole how she jumped on the Michael Jackson situation when the HBO doc came out. That man is dead and gone. Like, everything is money. Even what is it? Gail, when she hopped on the Kobe thing when he died, like, everything is like, you gotta go with the masses. Whoever goes against them, they're shunned. So it's like everyone, it's no one sticking up for someone or like, hey, give them a second chance. It's like, hey, you're out of here. No matter who's the gatekeepers, they all going to go with the masses in that regard because they gotta secure their image.
It's only a temporary loss.
I mean, yeah, but I'm just saying when it's at its heat of the moment or it's trending, they all have to like kind of side with
and they
the
don't want to lose their
masses
money. And I mean, if I'm funding the baby, right, and I'm this big huge corporation, it goes right back to, look, I don't want to lose my money. A lot of people, it's all directed back towards money. So I don't want to be associated with this person if they have done X, Y, and Z. Now today, like when Chris Brown came on, they did the crying and stuff and the man in the mirror on the stage. Like, now we accept them back. But it's like and it's weird because it's almost like, when do we accept them back, or when is it, who says that person, like now, with, I'm not really sure with the whole Nick Cannon thing, I don't really know about that, but like, when was it acceptable to like Chris Brown again? Who said, okay, now's the time, or is it something that just kind of eases its way back in? It's one of those,
I think it's easing its way, and a lot of these people don't know the biggest problem, like you said, with the young people. They don't know how to. What is the word? Can I say STFTFU? They don't know how to do that, and that's the problem.
I think, and that's why for me, like I said, Dave's.
Well, that's because a lot of
Lamar.
them is introverts. A lot of.
Oh, did he freeze?
Lamar, we lost your volume.
Oh yeah, no, I was saying like I lost my volume.
No, we can hear you now.
We good now.
Okay, yeah. A lot of kids are like introverts. So you talk about like younger generations, they only know social media. So they know they could talk behind their screens and there's no consequences. So when it comes to all of this stuff, like they could say whatever. They could troll.
But it
they
is
could
consequences.
do whatever.
Yeah, but I think Cardi B has been given a pass.
It's consequences for the person. It's not consequences for the regular everyday guy that starts something or starts a trend online because they're behind a computer in their mom's basement. It's no.
Oh yeah, the
no
person attacking the people. I see what he's saying.
Yeah, those individuals.
That's an interesting perspective. Go ahead, Lamar.
Oh no, I was just saying like that's why they feel the need like, hey, I'm going to get my opinion out here and I'm going to put it on social media and hopefully I can get some likes because that's an addiction to them. No matter what celebrity, no matter what person they're killing.
And that's why, whether they realize it or not, they actually are making Dave more money because they're making people watch the special. I watched it a little bit quicker than I usually watch it. But he speaks about that hypocrisy in the root of, and I think that this is the premise definitely where Silka was going, is the root of the hypocrisy goes back to establishing and maintaining the white supremacy. How they will mess with your bag because we have made it seem like if you're a celebrity and you got money, that means you're successful. So some people are willing to do anything to keep their bag coming in.
I mean, and then you got some people who will play the game because I think there are certain people that are high up there and they continue to play that game. They can do things on another level that maybe other people don't know about, but they just don't vocalize as much because they know that it'll mess with their bag. And sometimes you gotta be smart. So if it messes with my bag, I can't do the other things that I need to do for my culture. So
Yes.
sometimes I might just need to be quiet.
I think
Right.
we have to understand our power, number one. Like, there's nothing anyone can stop us. Like, cancel culture at the end of the day, it's not real. The internet is not a real place. It's not a real city or state or world. So it's like we have to, at some point, we have to stand up for what's right. If we fall for money, then we'll fall for anything. And then we end up, those same people end up being the victims of cancel culture. But back to, I was going to say this before when we were talking about white supremacy being disguised as different things, i.e., LGBTQIA. It was years ago. It was around the time
Plus,
of the, yes, plus around the time of the civil rights movement. There was an initiative within the government where the government was going to shy away from addressing any minority issues that are directed at Black people. They would do people of color, they would do gays, they would do, oh, my TV, y'all, sorry. They would do, hold on, I'm gonna let y'all talk. Let me fix this.
Yeah. But no, Erica had brought up something also. She was saying something with Cardi B. She was saying sometimes people say things and they don't even know that they're saying them and they get a pass. What was it you were saying early,
When she
Erica?
was saying something about her sister having chinky eyes, she didn't know that was chink was a racial slur. It's because in our community, it's something that we use, even though it's not meant to, you know, offend, but we use it amongst each other. But her saying on that platform, it was just a level of ignorance, and that's the problem with a lot of these younger celebrities. I mean, sometimes they just don't know, whether it be growing up in the ghetto or just a lot of things. They don't know how to play the game. Look how long it took all of us to play the game on our jobs. We all play the game every day. So look how long it took us to kind of know what to do. You know what I mean? So sometimes you do get a pass. I mean, some passes Cardi shouldn't have gotten, drugging and, stealing money from men, but they gave it to her. You know what I mean? For whatever the reasons are.
Mm-hmm.
So,
but even in that, Erica and Silk, I'm gonna let you finish your point. But Erica, even in that, and we know a bunch of celebrities that got some stuff that people just don't talk about.
yes, if a
It's
man was
like
to do some of the stuff that she's done, he would have been caught.
it's like oh now y'all gonna come for her. Whenever it's like, for example, whenever she step out of line or don't tote that company line or kowtow to what they want, that's when they'll come for us. For example, Nikki brought up R. Kelly. R. Kelly, I hate to say this like this, and whoever the victims are, I hope that they find some form of justice. R. Kelly basically went to trial this last time based off a documentary because the prosecutor was at home watching Surviving R. Kelly, and she said, "Oh no, I got to charge him." So when you think about it, it's like, okay, you were allowed to run around, do all this crazy foolishness with impunity for so long.
Everybody knew he was doing it. Everybody in his circle, a lot of people knew he was doing it. In that
And they were
whole,
doing it too. It's
And that's
like
why I disagree with you guys, where y'all make it seem like these celebrities nowadays are like so much more, they don't listen or it's been going on.
it's been going on.
they got power because of the
Social
money.
media now.
That's
We have
like Epstein.
now.
But Epstein, you can go in there and you can wipe, like it's the same thing with R. Kelly. You wipe it away with money.
And a lot of things were normal before. Societal standards were different in the past. Now people are just
Elvis.
outraged about every little thing. So I think now the celebrities walk a finer line than they ever did in the early 2000s, in the 90s, and the 80s, and far before then.
They're being held accountable.
But they still pick who they select. Like, I think it's still a picking process because everything that they allegedly claim Michael Jackson did, Elvis Presley did as well. But you don't see his name dragged through the mud. Is it because of his race?
Yes.
Erica, who was? Go ahead.
Also,
Lamar.
was it Chuck? Also, like Chuck Berry, like they put him away, and he was supposed to be Elvis before Elvis. Like, so I mean, it's like they kind of pick our community to kind of go through that stuff, if or just to like make us like good old boys to keep us in line, or
Again, this was
I'm not
used
sure.
against us. We created cancel culture. Now it's being used against us. We're
Mhm.
only canceling. It's mainly black people. Shit, it's mainly black men. Like this whole beast that we created is now being used against us. So
Erica was speaking earlier when we were speaking off of here. We were talking about the Bill Cosby situation. And who did you say the other celebrity was, Erica, we spoke about earlier?
I don't know, just Epstein,
No, the
Weinstein.
one, the was it was one of the rock stars we were talking about. You said he did the same thing.
Oh, Marilyn Manson. And
Right.
he's still, his music, all of them are still relevant. I mean, I don't know, I don't really follow
I mean,
them.
the thing, even with Dr. Cosby is, which is interesting, is we know that they were quote unquote roofies and party drugs. Even now, for the guys that use certain drugs to go out and party, and I want to take this so I could party all night and dance off the walls, and they wind up, with a young lady or whatever, and she takes the pills or whatever. We date rape, sort of say. We've gotten to the point where basically, what you did yesterday, you'll be, and this is why cancel culture is so dangerous, because what was socially acceptable yesterday, they're going to try you for it today.
And that's what happened with the coach from the Raiders, if I'm correct, right? Like they went back to some of his stuff.
2010, yeah, I think they
Yeah.
went back to like
They always
2010.
go back. Yeah. But it is part of who you are, what you've done. I mean, so you gotta
That's
now
true.
bear witness for it. It's not like something you didn't do. They did do these things. So what's
Well,
wrong? I mean, this is something you did do. So why not call you on? Who cares when you
I
did it?
do disagree when y'all said that he like resigned because of just the gay slurs. Like I think if you're coaching black men and you're hearing that, I think that he was already going to lose his team. Like, whether if he still was a coach, like they weren't going to play for him as rich black men and minorities, they was going to be like, no, we'll sabotage this, or we allow you to continue to coach.
But let me ask you
That's why he
guys a
resigned.
question. I mean, let me speak about me. I've said some crazy things in my past. I couldn't even tell you what. I've had a Twitter account since 2010, Facebook since 2009. I can't now. I'm a little more conscious of what I do now, but I couldn't tell you what I typed or said back then. Though I know I didn't have certain views back then. Um, I think it's kind of crazy because you have to look at context, and context shouldn't change over time. I think that, like I said, it is hard for me to believe a sport where it's all majority, and after actually the coach coached the first openly gay player. It's hard for me to believe that a sport where all these quote unquote heterosexual men, that nobody says the F word. The F word would be flying all over the place. As they say, it would be locker room talk. So now I remember when you said this word. Oh, I don't like Nikki. So I'm going to remember. I'm going to look at
And they
this
go back
text when
to
she
it.
said this word to me.
Yeah,
We were
but
playing, but playing don't show context.
But
I
it's make
agree with that, but I'm not running for president either. I mean, I know I can't run for politics, based on anything that I've said. That's me personally. But it depends on where you're going with it. Some things you're not going to be able to do depending on what the things that you've done. You see what I'm saying?
But it can affect anyone. I know a young man who was who was seeking a photography job in his early 20s. He said some things on Twitter or Instagram, I can't remember what it was, that offended someone. He shouldn't have said the things. He was a young 20-something-year-old man. He was arguing with the woman, started calling her names. He lost this job because of what he said. So it's not just politicians and celebrities. It literally can come back and bite anyone. I will tell you, there's a girl at my job I do not like. There have been times I've checked her Facebook page because I just want her ass to retweet something that I don't like. Because I'll be damned if I'm not going to go to court with her. I will say
right.
And that's the thing. And Erica, you're right when you say like a
Yeah, some things
president
I know
of
I'm not going to be able to do just because of
but
things I
you
might have done.
do you Erica, do you think that that is fair though?
No, I mean the President Trump. I mean, where he comes from what KKK people, but he got money. I don't come from money. Money is the denominator in all of
So
it.
and you know, and I'm not disagreeing with your thought, but a person's past, if we're saying we're this forgiving country or forgiving people, should the past prevent you from being able to succeed?
We can't do a lot of things if you've been arrested or locked up. This is what the
If you
country is based on. Are
Caucasian,
we
maybe,
serious?
but if you black and they want to go and dig this stuff up on you, I mean, if they went back and they dug up all the stuff, let's say Barack had some deep dark stuff and they dug it up. Do you honestly think it would have been the same?
No, but you can't even vote if you did your time. Once they let you free, you should be able to have the same rights as everybody else. Our country is not based on forgiveness.
I
Where's that
think
coming from?
I think that just my thought. I think that cancel culture is taking away and it is eating away of our civil liberties
Mm-hmm.
because once we begin to feel like, oh, I did something in my past, I can't do something. This really speaks about what, quote unquote, and we could debate on whether the Constitution is for us or against us as people, but this speaks to the very thing that our Constitution spoke out against. We should be able to move freely, as they say, do your time or whatever, or
I mean, I
you
think
mess.
people do. David Duke ran for president. I mean, come on now. So people can do what they want to do, but the reality of your past, if you've done things in your past, if you know you're a KKK member running for president, you know that's gonna come out. You can still run for president, but you're not gonna win.
But I
You know
think
what I mean?
Erica, I think you're looking at the KKK thing as a little bit more.
I'm
That's
just
a little
saying,
bit more
some saying
specific. I'm
you
speaking
just
in
said, okay,
general.
I was wearing blackface at some point in my life. I should forgive him. I think some of these politicians have. That's when it's come out. Run, and you should. Nobody's stopping you from running, but it will come back
Let me
to
ask you a
bite you.
question. Let me ask you a question. With Dave, Dave is a comedian, artistic freedom. You may have a poet, you may have a singer. You got rappers that are being charged based off of their songs. Do you think that is fair?
Sometimes I think you need to be held accountable to a degree, and I think their views need to be challenged before it's canceled. Now, once you try to educate somebody or challenge their views, and they still are unwilling to change, yeah. And it depends on what it is. Not every little thing needs to be challenged or shut down. Say what you want to say, but know there's consequences for doing it. And if you don't care or you don't care about your money, you don't. Some people, to me personally, just don't know
I
when to
I would
I
actually.
disagree with all of this completely. Like, and we're so like our thinking is so whitewashed. Like, motivation should not be money. I recommend everybody read the book 1984 if you haven't already, because where this is going to go, we're literally being programmed. So right now, it's not just celebrities and politicians that are being canceled. We're being programmed so that
Mm-hmm.
we're being programmed to be snitches. We're going to eventually be snitching on each other because whatever government mandated rules are in place, Nikki's not doing it.
You
So
putting on the institution, they didn't snitch on the preachers all the years, but the religions didn't get snitched on. So sometimes it isn't all about money. A lot
uh
of that.
Silk is referring to the 1984 book written by George Orwell, where he prophesies basically where we're going into what we consider a police state, where this country was founded upon certain principles of freedom. Like I said, we know as black people that those freedoms may not have been intentionally for us, but still, I believe that black people are more American than most Americans, and we try to uphold those principles. And
Mm-hmm.
by allowing cancel culture and the way of thinking of censorship and ostracism that we're going in, we're basically going into um, a society where we're basically snitching on everybody about just living. Oh, he got a newspaper. He ain't supposed to have a newspaper, so I'm gonna tell on him, and
I
he's
guess
gonna
I
get arrested.
disagree with that. Just because it's always been a form of snitching, it's just more relevant now because of social media. So much more, many people can do it. But the newspapers and all of this have always been out. It's always been books. There's always been tell-alls and things like that. It's just easier to do now.
well, let me ask, just because something has always taking place, does that mean it's okay? Does that mean it's
No, I wouldn't say that either.
Yeah.
Nobody says it's okay. Just
I
because we
mean,
were slaves at one
like
time doesn't mean it's okay to be slaves. It's not cool. Nobody's saying that
like
at
I said,
all. But go ahead.
like I said before, it's only two things that shun you in this cancel culture. It's only sexual conduct and racism. If it's not those two things, you pretty much you don't get shunned. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
temporary. Nothing else really
Mm-hmm.
shuns. When you do blackface, that comes down to racism. When you touch a woman or grope a woman or touch a child or any of that, that's the things that cancel these individuals. When you talk about someone with stature or next level that's above it, when you talk about the KKK, that's a secret society. That means they have all the gatekeepers. They have all the people in line to not get outed. Black people get outed because we're only we're only at the party. We're not throwing a party. So in so many words, if we always attach to all these entities and all these business and all these corporations because of sponsorship and everything, then they'll cut ties because we're not in line of what they're thinking. So when you talk about like a Bill Cosby or R. Kelly, they didn't do something, so they outed them, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much it spreads like wildfire.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what goes to what Silk and you talking about, the policing and the book and all of that.
Yeah,
That comes with the
as
process.
Shay
long as you
has a
tap
Shay
dancing and doing what they want you
Shay
to do,
Shay
then
Cool.
brings up an
fine.
interesting point that we could talk about. Cancel culture to ruin the legacy of Aunt Jemima. For those that don't know, Aunt Jemima is no longer on the pancake box.
Yes.
Her heirs were getting the residual money for her being on the pancake box. Unfortunately, cancel culture went too far, and this is where speaks to Nikki's point. Cancel culture were young people who didn't know the history of this woman and being on the box, and they took her off the box. Even so far as the Quaker brand, and people attack Quaker, not realizing that the Quakers were always against slavery. So this is where this culture has basically destroyed a legacy, destroyed this woman's um, generational wealth that she was able to provide for her family up until this day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's
So
the
it's
messed up part about it. Cancel culture wants mascots of change, but they don't want real change. They don't want real
Yes.
progress.
right.
Not the institutions. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, they don't. They just want mascots of,
Mm-hmm.
they want it to look good or sound good, but
So let me ask you guys,
It's a distraction.
Nikki, you had something you wanted to say?
No,
Let me
I,
let
I'm
me
I, that
ask
was
you
Erica. I
guys,
just said it was a distraction.
do you think what could we do to stop cancel culture? Um, and like listen, when somebody comes to us with information, be like, yo, you need to look it up, or you need to read. You can only do that, but so much. People are gonna look at you like, oh, you think you know it all, or you got some conspiracy
mm-hmm.
theorist thing. Even so much now with what's going on with the pandemic, with who wants to be vaccinated, who doesn't want to be vaccinated, and I'm gonna watch what I say because I don't want to get my channel taken. But you even got people so much saying now that they're trying to debunk the Tuskegee situation like it didn't happen. So what could we do
they
as
justifying it, which is crazy.
what could we do as individuals to attack and try to change how cancel culture is going about its business?
All you can do is challenge the person. That's the only thing I could think of. Instead of canceling them, challenge them. I mean, what do
Mm-hmm.
you mean by saying A, B, and C? Instead of just shutting them down, hear everybody else. It needs to be a dialogue. That's my
Mm-hmm.
suggestion. That's the only thing that
And
I would
it's
say.
and it's
A
nothing wrong
dialogue
with
needs to
someone
happen.
having a whole different opinion from you,
Yes.
a whole different thought process from you. We're not all clones, but that's what they're aiming to for us to be, to think alike, to all this. But it's okay if someone doesn't think like me. It's okay if someone does something different from me. They have a different belief system, because eventually they're gonna start telling you can't believe certain things too. If that's where this is gonna go, well,
Yeah.
you're not believing this, you're not believing that.
Eventually, they're doing it now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
I
yeah,
believe
and so I think it's good to challenge people, but people think that if you challenge them, or if you ask questions, or if you have an opposing view, that you know, um, it's something wrong with you. It's nothing wrong with having an opposing opinion from someone
But
else. We're not all the
let's put
same.
out with the government. They started that when they wanted to go to war the first time. You unpatriotic if you don't do this. It's my
Mm-hmm.
basic patriotic right not to like something or have an opinion against something. That is
Mm-hmm.
what it is to be an American. But they want to sit there, oh, you're unpatriotic if you don't vote for this or do that. So it starts at the highest tiers of government. So,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's information because I think that people need to not go with the trend to have more information. Because even what you
Mm-hmm.
said about like the Tuskegee experiment, like people think that they were shooting people up with syphilis. No, they just did not give them the actual antidote to cure syphilis. They just viewed them. But people always go back to the Tuskegee experiment when you
Mm-hmm.
talk about COVID and talk about the vaccination, when the vaccination is actually a shot that they're giving us. When you talk about Tuskegee
Mm-hmm.
experiment, they just monitor people with syphilis and watch them die.
But
And
Lamar, they've done
people,
the same thing. And with smallpox, they had blankets with smallpox on it and they gave it to the Indians. So it's like,
you're,
what does that have to do with the
you're
price of tea
right.
in
The
China?
Trail of Tears.
They've given us things,
No, no,
they've
no.
watched it before, like
But people,
well,
people just jump out the window with stuff and information because somebody says something and they think that they have facts and they don't really do their research. Even when it
but they
comes to
trying to
cancel
cancel
culture,
the
Agreed.
non-vaccinated
everyone don't
people.
do their
They
due
trying to cancel
diligence.
us, the
I think
non-vaccinated people.
that people try in this day of like the internet and social media, whatever opinion we have, we can find someone else echoing that opinion. We can find articles, we can find data that will echo whatever opinion we have. So that's the dangerous part of social media
Mm-hmm.
and being
That's
in this
true.
internet.
Yeah, because you can always find somebody to agree with you.
Yeah, you
So
can
if
always
I say I don't want to get vaccinated because of X, Y, and Z, I can go find an article, whether it be a scholarly article or whether it be, something else. I can find something to agree with what I'm saying.
yeah.
And so,
But
you
they
know,
trying to cancel us
Even
based
more
on that
importantly,
though. They're trying to make unvaccinated people okay. If you don't get vaccinated, you can't do A, B, and C. That's a cancel. You know what I mean? Even though if you're vaccinated, you can still get the disease.
exactly.
So that they're canceling us out based on that. They even going to the point of saying, okay, well, if you don't get it, some places are saying you don't need to come to the hospitals, which is the stupidest thing I ever
Which is
heard.
crazy. I heard people
Yeah,
say, which is
yeah, don't get
crazy.
that. That's because of a lifestyle choice. That means if you fat, smoke anything, and have a heart attack or stroke, you're not gonna get treated. I mean, are these people
Exactly.
even listening to the things that they're saying? So, but they're trying to get us canceled based on that, and it might come to fruition. But when you start going down that rabbit hole, you got to start looking at other lifestyle choices.
yeah. And that's the
So,
thing with cancel culture.
yeah,
When we start canceling one thing, you got to be careful
yeah,
because all those other liberties, all those other things, that's the one thing you got to be careful with because you like, oh, cancel this, cancel that. Well, some of the things that you actually like or the things that you believe in, the things that you agree, you got to be careful because all those other things can start being canceled as well.
Yeah.
So
It's like
Well,
I have a choice whether I want to kill my unborn child or not, but I don't have a choice whether I want to be vaccinated, which is crazy. But
just know that
that's subject.
Dr. King was canceled.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. I'm laughing because it really hit homes the point of following the masses of people, getting information that's best suits you for your own individual sanity. So I don't know. Me personally, I don't know what more a person could do. I guess they can get information. I mean, the more information you get, the more, as they say, the more crazy you
the
become because
crazier
you
you're
start.
gonna get.
I think that the one thing we all have to do is recognize our programming and recognize our biases and be open to information outside of what's around us, the people around us. I think we can't change anyone else. Why don't we start with ourselves? So let's start with our own biases, our own
Mm-hmm.
viewpoints, and expose ourselves to other people, expose ourselves to other viewpoints, and then take it one day at a time there. And then also sharing information. I think this platform is a great use of
Yeah,
um
right.
yeah.
yeah,
But
it's
I think the hatred is where the problem is. A lot of people are just not open. Politics is an extreme example, just like Trump. They try to make it. I'm not no Trump person, but they try to make it seem like man did nothing right. He did a lot of good, man. So, but the hatred for him is so great that people were just like, oh, it's the
But that's that
political side.
programming too, because the things that he did. Of course, if you're black or if you're Democrat or something like that, if you're not really reading or if you don't really do your research, if you don't know the laws, if you don't know
You
certain
going with the
things,
gossip.
you
Yes.
go with whatever the trend is. And
Yeah,
the
you
trend
jump on
is
the bandwagon.
Gang mentality. You're gonna wave your blue flag. They got a red flag, so it's fuck them. Like it's literally gang mentality.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
the hatred. That's what I said. I don't think it could be. A lot of people are just not open on a lot of levels and don't want to be. They happy being mad and hateful.
you guys stay on the line. I wanna share some information with you guys, and everyone in the chat. Thanks for joining us tonight. Nikki, you got any final words?
No, absolutely
Anybody else
not.
got any final
Great
words?
show.
Nope, I'm good.
Appreciate everybody in the chat. Remember to like, share, subscribe. That is the only way that this show will grow. From like, share, and subscribe. Great panel today, man. These guys nailed it. I thank them for joining us, and I hope that they stay on because I got some very interesting information to share. So everybody in the chat, thank you guys. Like I said, the chat always makes the show because you guys are part of the show. You ask certain questions, and it makes us remember certain things when you ask those questions. So
Right.
thanks once again, and Nikki be back next Thursday with her stuff. Next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Come on now. With that, everybody take care. Have a great week.